Welcome to Tunnel Talk, a no facts, all feelings wrestling podcast on the Social Suplex Network. I'm Allie.
I'm Ann.
And I'm Leah. Why did you start smiling as you got through that?
Because she was doing so great at it.
I guess so.
She was feeling good about it.
She just got like a really happy look on her face.
This is literally bullying.
You went into it like so fast out of our like pre-podcast chit-chat time that I had this reaction for a second where I was like, I'm not ready. And it's like, what do I think I have to do? Like, I have to say my own name. Like, are you not ready?
You do have, well, you do have to say your own name at the right time. It's not nothing.
It's not nothing. And actually, I struggle with it constantly. I'm like, we've been doing this pod for over 3 years. And every time I'm like, wait for Ann. Don't rush it. Make sure you say it like a normal way.
Leah's like, if I let myself go for even a second, I will batter Ann out of the way. I will say
Ann's
my
like,
name
I'm
first.
Ann, and I'm like, I'm Leah.
And honestly, whenever we have it like a guest, and so we have to say names in a different order, or one of us is gone, it really does throw me. It's like I can't say it
You're
with
so
this
tentative,
rhythm.
man.
My own name.
Check, Allie. Oh God. Okay, how's everyone doing this week?
I've been doing good.
It's almost over. Thank God.
Those were different responses. I love it though. It is. We are back in What's Making Us Happy season. I believe it's Ann's week. Are you prepared to share something that just brought some light into your week?
Yeah. Can I do two? I had three and I've narrowed it down.
Ann, you can do as many as you want.
Oh my God, you're
Not to
such a
show
little
off.
suck. Yeah, you're a little suck.
Leah, maybe you'll bring 2 to 3 next week.
Oh, we are not raising our expectations here.
You're
gonna
already
get
mile
my
high,
lukewarm-
baby.
You're gonna get my lukewarm item and like it.
Well, mine is, I had one that's like a happy experience and then one that's an item for purchase, which I feel like is more vibe.
I struggled with that last week where I was like, I don't want to show up every week and just say that I did capitalism and that brought me joy. I need to find things in my life that aren't capitalism that brought me joy. So I think this is a good, this merges those.
Yeah, that's what I was going for, of course. I had a deep philosophical talk with myself about it.
I'm gonna join another podcast. I hate it here.
No, you're stuck.
Get happy, Leah. So my first one is my mom she plays a lot of tennis and both her knees were really bad. So she got 2 knee replacements last year, like 4 months apart. And knee replacements are just like rough. Like they're really like the recovery time's really long. Like hip replacements are way better, which seems wrong, but like you're not laid up for as long. But with knee replacements, it's like really painful and you're in PT for forever and whatever. But she's been back at tennis with both her knees done for like a couple months now but still having like a lot of pain. But getting better and better. And then I played tennis with her on Thursdays, cause she has like a private lesson on my lunch hour. And so if I'm not that busy at work, I go over there. But our tennis pro had gallbladder surgery a couple weeks ago. So we haven't had a lesson for like we had 3 weeks off. So I saw her play for the first time in 4 weeks and she was killing, like, I haven't seen her run like that for like 10 years or something. Like it was like, so much younger, so like agile, so energetic. It was great.
So
I was like, it's so
That is
encouraging.
really nice.
Yeah, especially just, I don't know.
Leah,
it's just
think
like
about
broader.
whether anyone you know has had any surgeries that you could really sweetly comment on.
I mean, I can make that mine too and be like a couple of years ago. My mother also had a knee surgery.
You can't make that yours. It's not recent. Ann's is recent,
Okay.
and Ann's is beautiful.
Great. Well, I'll talk about my dad's gallbladder surgery then.
Wow, knees and gallbladders.
Knees, gallbladders.
I think she's cheating off my paper.
She absolutely is. She's not even trying to hide it. I love that. That's such a nice thing to bring joy into a week. Is just
It's
feeling
really
happy
nice.
for a loved one.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was your experience, but I had to help my mom with her knee surgery. And one of the things that they tell you is that when you're climbing stairs, it's down with the bad, up with the good. But my mother could never remember that. So like for solidly 3 weeks, I was just behind her on every stair, chanting that like a lunatic. And now it's kind of a catchphrase my family.
Wow, my mom never told me that one.
Yeah.
If she heard
It's
it,
up
I
with the-
I don't have a little chant.
Yeah, you step up with the good
with the
knee
good.
and then step down with the bad knee. But I just maniacally would be screaming, up with the good, down with the bad.
That should be a wrestling chant, I think.
Yeah, it's nice.
Oh my God. Okay, and then how did you enjoy capitalism this week?
And capitalism, my recommendation is Nerd Glummy Clusters, which I have been really going ham on for like a month or longer, possibly. Some people recommended them to us in a Discord, and I was like, how good can these possibly be? Because it's a gummy with nerds like on the outside, which sounds repulsive. I was like, there's no way. And then I put one in my mouth, and I was like, oh no, this is a transcendent experience. And I've been making myself sick ever since. And I finished the bag finally, and I was like, I'm not going to buy more because it's been so hazardous. But then I went to the store, and I was like, well, maybe just one more.
Maybe
So
just
I bought
one
another bag.
more. That's how they get ya.
Big recommend. The very berry flavors are extremely good. So, yeah.
The candy that I'm on is you can buy these. You can get them at the gas station sometimes, but I have ordered them on Amazon. It's the sour gushers that come in a pack that usually has been flattened so aggressively in shipping that they've all gushed in the pouch. So
Pre-gushed? Wow.
they're pretty pre-gushed, and actually it's really not, you just can't eat them with your hands. So as a night treat, I have my little bag of gushers and a fork digging some out of. You just keep working on their larger bags, so you keep working on them, for the week. That's your treat for the week is you get in there with your fork with your pre-gushed.
Wow.
I can't believe you gave that away for free and you didn't save it for your next week.
She has so much happiness.
Leah, you're next week. You're not getting away with this.
I think if you look at a calendar.
Well, don't worry, listeners. We've got her under control.
Yeah, we'll make her happy if it kills us.
That's good. That's a good recommendation because it's something that all of our listeners can go enjoy.
Yeah, that's open for everyone in America. I don't know about other countries.
They can also get knee replacements.
So true.
Takes a little more planning, but
and a little bit more time to get to the happy place. Like one reason it made me happy was my poor mother had been like housebound and in pain for so long and was not feeling mentally real good. So it was nice to see it climb out of that phase.
it's like, would you like for your life to reach a new low, but then rebound into a new high? Could be knee replacement surgery.
Eventually, almost a year later, you'll be better off than you were before you had the knee replacement. So.
They did. I was worried that my mom was going to have to get knee replacement surgery recently, but then because she was kind of out of commission with it. But then she did get X-rays or whatever, and the doctor was like, "Yeah, you just have some bone shards floating around in there, but we'll just probably leave it. You seem okay now, so we'll probably just leave it."
Wow.
And her knee has been okay, so hopefully
that's good.
Stays that way. Well, that's good. All our traditional best to all of our mothers and their knees. Let's transition into the wrestling. So we're going to start tonight with the upcoming Ospreay-Danielson match, which has been ballooning into a full-on faction warfare as we approach Dynasty. So first, Danielson and Claudio fought Will Hobbs and Kyle Fletcher on Collision with the Callis family boys under orders from Don to take Danielson out. So Kyle Fletcher tried to bash his head in on some bare concrete. He couldn't quite get the job done. Claudio did pin him. And then Takeshita came out and brainbuster Danielson on the ramp afterwards. So John Moxley, who's been off TV for a couple weeks, he took this seriously. He finally returned to Dynamite after winning the IWGP Heavyweight title at Windy City Riot in Chicago this past weekend. And let me just quickly say, can you even imagine me 3 years ago reading that out loud?
No,
I think we had multiple arguments on this podcast because we couldn't remember what those belts were called.
I literally remember Mary making fun of us because we called it the New Japan American belt.
And good for us.
I mean, honestly, that's close enough, I think. I think that was heroic of us.
We did our best, but look at how good I've done now. Anyway, Mox has this beautiful belt now. He came through the crowd. He cut an in-ring promo, just about some stuff and some thoughts. And he called out the Callis family and basically said that Don Callis has been bewitching these boys with what I've called his honey-tongued lies. So Mox challenged Hobbs to a match on Dynamite next week and threatened to sink him to the bottom of the ocean. He was really into this part, and I really loved it. And then later on that same show, I think this is the longest description of the night, so bear with, Claudio fought Will Ospreay in a match that had the men of the IWC very excited all week, and I wasn't not excited, but I would say I was slightly less excited. But then I thought the action was pretty cool. I had a very good time.
Yeah.
And Ospreay won, and then the rest of the Callis family came out to attack Claudio, and Mox ran out for the save. Okay, enough of that. What do you guys think about Mox's promo, and how'd you feel about him back on TV?
You know, I had gotten in trouble with some of our listeners because I had hit a saturation point with Mox where I was like, okay, I'm ready to take like a little break from Mox. And actually, I really loved not having him as featured as heavily. And then he showed up and he was, there last night. And I was like, oh my God, I love Mox. I forgot I loved Mox. I thought he did a fantastic job with that promo, especially because like the contrast with Dax trying to do like a similar like AEW rules kind of promo. Yeah. And then like, Cope didn't do as badly as Dax by any means, but like when you see Mox do it, you're like, oh, what Copeland did was a pale imitation of what Mox can do. Yeah. This is the only man who should be doing in-ring promos.
Mox, no one does a rah-rah promo like Mox. It's really, I feel very trauma bonded to Mox in a way. It's like he was there for us after Brawl Out, he was there for us during the pandemic. Like, he's been there the whole time rah-rahing me and saving the company every time something bad happens and he has to cancel his vacation to come do something that we want to see. I hadn't realized how much I was missing him, but I really had an extreme response to this, I think.
I know. I also was just... I knew that he was gone and I didn't like it, but the second I saw him again, I did feel like a little flower perking up. Like, oh my God, she watered me. Mox. Mox just has this thing that he's able to do that there obviously are lots of people who do these like super intense, like I love to fight and I love to be good promos, but Mox has this way of doing it that just really works for me where I just feel his caring. I know, not to sound like a sap, but like when he is like talking about his passion for wrestling in kayfabe, obviously, and like talking about, how he feels about being a part of something like AEW, you just fully believe it. You're just like, yeah, that is where the love in your body goes.
Yeah.
I like that. It feels very real.
He comes across so authentic all the time, and I feel like that is kind of like the AEW experience where he's like the most AEW guy of all of them, and just like, nothing ever has a false note with Mox, which is incredible.
Yeah. Happy. And then, so thoughts on the Ospreay-Claudio match and thoughts on what we saw in the aftermath when Mox had come out to save Claudio, and we got to see a little bit of how Ospreay was responding to his teammates.
The match was super fun. It was more fun than I thought because I like you said, like the men of the IWC were very excited for this, and I was like, yeah, it'll be fine, I'm sure. Like Claudio is definitely in the category of those guys where it's like not having been a wrestling fan for 30 years really like you don't have the nostalgia factor, and so like he and Samoa Joe also, like there are a couple men where it's like in AEW, like I don't dislike them, they've been fine, but they haven't like wowed me or showed me a lot of personality. But men who were like fans of a certain period of wrestling are like creaming themselves about it. So but it was crazy. I mean, the things Ospreay does with his body are out of control.
Yeah. Like I can't obviously, once they were fighting, I was just like, obviously this fucks. It's very cool to watch two people who are able to do this with their bodies. It just, like sometimes to me, it's like they're on the moon. Like gravity cannot possibly be involved the way that it should be. But it's like, I like Claudio so much, but I just never think about him when he's not around.
I did have this feeling where it's like, oh, Ospreay Danielson, like, it's not an emotional match. And it's like, and Claudio is not changing that even a little
No,
bit.
certainly not.
Like, Mox running out, I suddenly got the feeling like, oh, now there's like some emotional stakes, even though he didn't even do that much. But it's like he just brings a different energy, whereas Claudio's just always like, happy to be here. So,
And I love that
It's
for
cheerful.
him. It's,
Yeah.
You know, I'm just never going to cream for it.
Yeah.
I loved Ospreay's reaction to
I know.
his teammates doing this beatdown, and I loved reading in like the AEW recap and from Manolo how other people were describing it, because people were not on the same page. Like Tony Schiavone apparently was on commentary being like, he's screaming at Kyle Fletcher. And Manolo said something else. And I was just like, he's confused because he has two beautiful brain cells that he's trying to rub together in this moment. And he's like, this is crazy. What are y'all doing?
he's got the most himbo energy at AEW, just like of anyone ever. It's like he's so happy to be here and he has no idea what's happening around him.
And like the funny thing about the funny thing about how he was yelling at Kyle and the rest of them, it was like he wasn't offended that they were doing violence. He just couldn't figure out what had inspired it.
I know.
Like he was like,
what is
why
this?
are we mad at them?
I think that's the last thing you heard him say was something like, what's happening? I just really loved it. Like, I was just like, wow, this man has a really hard time coming. I mean, I really felt like I hope this, because they're doing a storyline, I understand that, but like, I hope that this is the beginning of happy, cheerful Ospreay increasingly being like, what is this bad feeling I get in my tummy sometimes when I have to go to work? Like, I've never felt this before. It feels, how to say, not good.
I know. I'm really hoping that like he loses to Danielson and it does start a period of misery and crushing that little spirit until it gets built back up. Like I don't know that he will lose to Danielson, but
No, a lot of our friends were talking in a bunch of different places about what to do with Ospreay, and I did kind of get won over by the idea that he could win with Danielson and he could be allowed to have the rest of the summer as like, I just love to wrestle and doing whatever he's doing with Don Callis, and then he loses and gets humiliated at Wembley, like he loses bad.
That'd be
and
so
that's
sexy.
what kicks off like, oh my God, life isn't as much of a dream as I thought it would be.
no more prancing.
And I think
he just
if you
walks
are
out.
going to go that way, then you do actually need to really hammer in like, I'm a golden god. So I think I would allow them to have the summer to to let him do what he's doing, but it would be kind of cool if they ramped him all the way up to let him just trip and fall down.
I would love that, not least because it would be so contrary to the way that people talk about Tony Khan's booking and what we saw out of Wembley last year, where he was like, gotta give the, but then it's like Pac could get a big win at Wembley. It's like give another.
I know Tony.
There's
Tony
more than
does
one person
not,
from Great Britain.
Yeah.
Tony does not a lot of times like doing a crushing loss in that way. Like, but I think he should, because I think a lot of people need to learn to tolerate feeling bad in the IWC.
Yeah, well, and it'd be a good swerve for Tony too, because it is like he's been running AEW long enough that you kind of know his patterns and what he's likely to do. So it'd be smart to do like a swerve, on like a good storyline, like crushing Ospreay spirit, like a year-long journey.
And it would be great if you could manage to build it so it seems so that Ospreay's vibe is like, how could I not win at Wembley?
Yeah.
But that you as the viewer can feel that you're on the crest of the wave because he's like not taking it seriously in some way, or like whatever is going on. That would be such an enjoyable experience where it's like not like you're faking out the audience. It's like the audience can tell that things are not going well, but he can't. That would be so fun.
Totally. It'd be so fun. Yeah. They could really do some great long-term storytelling with something like that.
I
can't fantasy believe it though, because I'm just setting myself up.
I know.
No one should.
No, we can't fantasy believe anything we say.
No.
That much we've learned. But
I like that we're just citing that without the whole phrase, which is fantasy book, Don't Fantasy Believe, circa, Sarah Shockey. But we're just saying, don't fantasy believe things.
But that's like, we've cite it because it's like we learned it as toddlers. So we're just like, mommy always said that to us when we listened to our Marty and Sarah.
Everyone's mommy said to that to them when they got into wrestling.
When we went to preschool at Marty and Sarah Love Wrestling, of course we learned that.
Yeah. Of course everyone knows the aphorism. Yeah. A stitch in time, guys.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. We don't have to say the whole thing. Any other thoughts about the BCC Don Callis feud brewing?
Do you think that we'll ever see Yuta again?
I'm worried about him. How long has he been out for?
I don't know. Didn't he fight at CMLL?
No.
I think he was at
No,
CMLL.
he was scheduled, but then he didn't.
He didn't.
I think that he didn't. I'm 90% sure.
I miss him. And I think he should come back.
I really miss him.
I know.
I want him to join Trent.
The last match he wrestled was in January.
My God. Okay, that would be funny.
Like January 20.
Last January?
2024, he fought Eddie Kingston.
Oh.
So it's not that bad, actually.
That wasn't that long ago.
Why does it feel like he's been out for 10 months? And
Yes.
I know. Well,
I would have guessed that the last time he fought was in like November.
I know.
I'm sure you're right.
I mean, I'm on Cage Match, so
And they
Cage
would
Match never
like
misses.
Those nerds.
Honestly, unfortunately, that is actually my internalized attitude. Where I'm just like, if it's on Cage Match, it must be real, not the ratings, just the histories that I've looked at there. Okay, I do hope we get to see Yuta again soon. I miss his mean mugging. Should we move on to talking about the Elite?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So the Young Bucks and Okada fought Danny Garcia, Pac, and Penta on Dynamite this week. The match was almost preceded by a video package about the Bucks FTR rivalry, but it started playing, and then our EVPs, you could hear them over the mic being like, "Oh, I don't know who cut this. This sucks." And then they pulled it and promised to put it online later. Then they ordered Toni to cue their music, and they headed out to start the match. There are a lot of shenanigans in the match that we'll get into, but ultimately Okada rainmakered Danny Garcia for the win. And then the Elite threatened him with ladder tortures for a while until Pat came out to save him with his hammer that he did used to use to cheat with, right? That's the hammer.
Yeah.
That's his Mean Boy hammer.
I mean, I don't know if it's the same hammer, but it looks the same.
It serves the same purpose, the same symbol, yeah. Afterwards, Pac FTR versus the Elite was booked for this Saturday's pre-PPV collision. Okay, you want to start by talking about the pre-match stuff?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I love the way that Toni looked like despairing, but like not like he had any control over it. Like the Tony Schiavone look where he's like, "Oh, this is happening."
I thought that Toni looked like he was literally like in his own mind being like, "I'm going away. I am not here. When my employees talk to me this way, I'm not here." And I just smile and nod. But the vibe was that he was a low-level employee for his EVPs, which I thought was... It's perfect. I love that they pitched to Toni. They were like, "So in this storyline, like you're getting cucked," and he's like, "That's okay." Well,
you're the Alex Marvez of the storyline, Tony Khan.
Making up for my sins, so I guess.
Yeah, it's so funny to see him like that. And the cutting in on like the pre-tape package was so funny. Great. It's just like nice when they do like unusual stuff with the form, you know?
Yes. And anytime you kind of mix it up and it's unexpected, it's so fun.
And then they did actually retweet the promo and was like, as promised.
As promised. They've been getting a little more active on Twitter, which is so fun. I love that the gimmick brought that back.
I know. I'm like, thank God. And, everybody stay cool.
It's a fun gimmick for Twitter because, of course, they won't. But you can circle back on a lot of things on Twitter though, so it's good.
It's really the most things I see on Twitter, I think to myself, well, I'll circle back on that. I never do. What did you guys think about the match itself?
I still think that like the coin drop thing that they're doing before Okada's entrance is so funny, especially because Matt puts his back into it. I almost said something else, but I didn't. Like,
I can't believe you did. I've said it before on this podcast, but I'm the only person
put his whole pussy in that coat and drop
pussy into it. Thank you.
The hammy way that he like drops it and then is like looking at the camera like, ooh, what could that mean? I love him.
Welcome to a world of delights you have never before known. The man, the myth, Okada.
In another life, he was in like some kind of Vegas magician, and he fucking ruled.
Oh my god, the facial hair and the outfits now are really giving. I hadn't thought about it until you said that, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh. What is the magician's name? The one David
Blaine
Angel Blaine David.
There is Angel. Chris Angel. I think Chris Angel is a huge douchebag.
They're both magicians, and they're both pretty douchey, I think. So.
Well, I'm not recommending that anybody view any of their work. I'm not that familiar with them myself.
No, I mean, we never recommend that anyone view any magician's work, really, I don't think.
Imagine how deranged it would be if like I came in for my like what's making me happy and it was like, guys, you've got to check out this magician.
David Blaine.
I would be like, I need you to sit very still. I'm going to call Sarah and she's going to come to a wellness check.
Just keep talking to us, carefully on this Zoom. Just stay on the line. Stay on the line.
Oh, my God.
It was a really good... I had a moment during this match where I was like, wow, these are 6 very good wrestlers. Am I the first to observe this?
You said it out loud, too.
I don't think that anyone thought that the result was going to be different, but like that didn't change a single thing. Like it ruled. Like
yeah, it was great.
Red Death Triangle was pretty good too.
Yeah, it was. It was good. The mic bit where Matt went and got the mic and was doing the ringside commentary and then was on the mic being like, oh, okay, put me down. It was just like, you're a genius. You're so smart.
It's so nice when you see like someone creatively do something new that you've never seen before in wrestling, and it's funny. It's just like FTR could never.
I was so mad when it started during Picture in Picture because I thought it was going to end before we got back. And I was like, you let me hear what he said. You let me hear it. And then so when they finally came back and he was still doing it, I was like, oh, God.
Oh, yeah, we got to go look up the fight feed for that. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I know. I do have to download
check that out. Yeah, but I mean, it's like the thing... I know that I've said it before on this podcast, but the thing that I think is continues to work so well and is so admirable about this gimmick is that the Bucks have thrown themselves so completely into being like, we will be figures of ridicule. Mm-hmm. Like it's not going to be like, we're not winking with you about it. Like we are going to do stuff that makes us look so stupid and goofy. And that is what you're going to love. And that is the thing. We don't have to bring up FTR all the time, but they are fighting them next week. And like, it's just like, if you are not willing to throw yourself into a gimmick and do like everything that has to be done, then I don't want you. And FTR would never let themselves look this fucking goof ass.
No.
Yeah. And it is like, I mean, so many wrestlers are so committed to being like, I am a tough guy and I want to look cool all the time. And it's like, and there's so many guys trying to do that you're just like, this is nothing. This is boring.
Yeah, you fit into a crowd that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that is like, oh yeah, you and everybody else. Like,
right.
Yeah.
But have your mom drive you to the ring in a minivan, that's different. That stands out. People love it,
It's important to be different. And we've always said that. I did want to, this is shocking. I think it might be the first time I've ever suggested that anybody but Matt Jackson get this award, to be honest. But I think that for the faces Okada has been making for the past week, these smug little looks, like I know that I'm so handsome and good at stuff looks, I think that he deserves the Damon Salvatore Mommy's Little Ham Award.
Wow. This is
I think
huge.
he does. I mean, honestly, like, I have been so impressed at how much personality Okada is showing just visually. It has been charming the hell out of me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely people have been saying that he's, like, secretly a goof, but I didn't think that he'd be able to debut as a goof, and he is, and I really do like it.
And it's interesting how the combo of him with the Bucks is like working really well, even though he's doing like a slightly different thing than they are. Like he's not looking as ridiculous as them, but it still like goes along with it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, he is doing, there's something great about the dynamic where his vibe is like, yes, I don't know how to put it. I don't know. I think you're right. It's like they're not doing the same thing, but it works and it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is like someone called a picture of them like Okada and the Bucks as like a king and his two genies, and like that is the vibe where it's like, oh yeah, you're doing two different things, but like they go together as a complete group.
Right. Which is like
these are my powerful, insane gestures.
Which I think is the Bucks' like comfort place. Like I think they really enjoy standing
they want
next to a handsome man and dancing, capering around like weird monkeys, and then at some point they just stab him in the back and like step over his body. Yeah,
but they kiss him on both cheeks first before they murder him. Yeah,
I mean, no one has ever been better at capering around a strong, handsome man and telling him he's so good at wrestling and they love being his friend, and then stabbing him in the back than the Young Bucks. It's only that, maybe. No one else can do it that way. Leave them their own.
It's perfect. Because you look at them and you're like, how could these men be that, like, they don't have a thought in their head. They can't, like, of course I can trust them. They'll always be my minions. They're very stupid. They're just stupid clowns and they need me. They need me to be their strong king. And then it's like, oh no.
Their affections are fickle.
Yeah.
And there's two of them, technically. So
they're Mungo, Jerry, and Rumpelteazer. I don't know what to tell you. Cats reference for the cats.
Cats 2019. Yeah.
Oh, we have our fun. Leah, I just want to double check. Do you agree that Okada gets the award?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. I just wanted to get a full. I wanted to be able to. I don't want there to be an asterisk next to this victory. So.
I mean, it would be very funny if I was like against my will. He got the award. No, I wanted to.
She's abstaining from the vote.
I wanted to honor the moment and just be like, wow, somebody else gets to stand on that stage next to Matt Jackson, and I feel like we should take a moment to really appreciate that. But no, of course I agree.
I wish there was an appropriate song to play here. I know it's not taps, but like taps. As we go on, we
graduation song
by Vitamin C. Okay, woof. Let's just briefly check in on Little Jungle Boy. So we talked about the all in footage last week, and JB. Right after this footage aired, was also at the Windy City Riot show in Chicago. So everybody got to see pictures of his entrance and stuff online or video of his entrance. And he came out and he really did his, he was getting booed and he had the Chicago flag on and then he dropped it and his little jacket said Cry Me a River on the back. And he's very mean boy. And he got a pretty good crowd reaction. I think the overall takeaway was this is good. He's got the heat.
Big reactions.
I was very, very pleased. Sarah watched it. I didn't actually watch it, but she said that like it started off, I think, half and half, and then he got more of the crowd as it went on. He won them over, and she was like, in a very Bucks way that
I was about to say.
And I was like, that I'd like to hear that. I like to hear that.
His t-shirts keep selling out immediately too, which is very cool. But they look cool, so
they do. The scapegoat one I think is cool, but medium normal to me. But the art for the other ones, fucks. It is so nice. Yeah. So I'm happy for that artist who said that they worked with him on it. So
that's really cool.
So nice.
We love when people work with artists.
Did you see in that Sports Illustrated article, the Bucks were like, well, JB like needed something controversial to really start his career the way it happened to us, and I was like, that's true.
Yeah,
they have been formed in the kiln.
What do you call it? It's
you call it.
It's not formed in the kiln. No, it's
crucible in the crucible scandal.
What is the word that you usually use? Is it not formed? It's
forged.
Fired.
Forged in the crucible of. whatever. Controversy. There we go.
And you sell T-shirts off, and it's the Bucks model.
Should
That's
we
the Bucks-
suggest a
that's the
JV
Bucks
T-shirt
way.
that reads "Forged in the Crucible of Controversy"?
No, I think it's formed in the kiln of controversy.
That is an award-winning T-shirt. Everyone would love.
When we create our merch store, it's going to be like Tunnel Talk and then like formed in the kiln.
Formed in the kiln of controversy. Which, speaking of controversy, did you guys see that someone left a comment on our YouTube clip of the CM Punk stuff and was like, "Y'all guys are biased," and I was like, "Yeah,
Girl,
It was like our first hate comment. It was pretty exciting.
We have like 5 of them on there now. I don't know how people found the video. I just keep
That's
being
SEO,
like,
baby.
I'm just like, guys, I don't know what to tell you. Someone just said narcissistic take or something.
us. We're
that's
the
another
narcissists.
T-shirt,
That's
girls.
fantastic.
That's another
Yeah.
T-shirt."
We're gonna sell some narcissistic T-shirts. I would wear one.
I would absolutely wear a T-shirt that
yeah.
said "narcissistic take."
No, someone actually left us quite a long comment, really getting into it, and it was such a like tap the sign moment where it's just like no talking in the no face journeys in the library, buddy. We won't be writing back. I did almost say you can go listen to Trish and Sarah if you want to understand what you're arguing
facts.
about. You
Yeah.
can go listen to Trish and Sarah. Otherwise, just don't.
That's why we
engage
have
with us.
a sister podcast. We have all the feelings and they have all the facts, and it's
Oh,
great.
that is true. Wow, that's beautiful. That we could do kind of a yin yang T-shirt,
Kind of a what's his name and his wife,
kind of like a
the
best friends forever like
Jack Sprat,
thingy T-shirt.
best
Oh
friends
my
forever.
God.
You know the necklace.
yeah,
that's
yeah,
split in
yeah.
half.
I'm picturing it with like
In our
the
merch
green
store
of
also.
the green
in
of
our
their
merch store.
logo with like the brown of ours. This would be like the most hideous shirt. And I love it.
I'm
You could
sure-
buy necklaces that split into a Trish and Sarah side and a Tunnel
This is
Talk
perfect.
side.
Or they could also just say facts, feelings, and then you'd kind of know.
That's
but if we
actually
did, I
nice,
bet you
yeah.
could do a really tasteful version of the colors where why are we having this conversation? What's happening here?
Why is it
Like
happening
an
on
artisan
air?
could kind of design like a beautiful.
I think we should
Oh
take
my
this
God.
offline.
Yeah, let's take this offline, ladies. We'll
And
circle
you
back.
could, these could be little ceramic, they could be pottery necklaces.
Interesting. We could be crafting them ourselves. We could get a little fact stamp and a feeling stamp.
Beautiful, glazed.
And they'll look like something a kindergartner made at day camp. But you'll
That's
know
what
that
will make
we
them so
made
valuable one
with
day.
our hands.
Okay, I
It'll
don't
be-
know.
Our pottery was formed in the kiln of controversy.
Yes.
Okay. Ladies, I barely know what section we're in at this point, so let's just refocus up. We're just going to quickly ask ourselves, who is winning at Dynasty? If it's not the Young Bucks, we riot.
Yeah,
That's all I have to say about that.
If the Bucks don't win that, you'll never hear from me again.
Oh, no. This is over.
Last straw. 2 years of last straws. No, I feel
The-
confident they're going to win, though.
Yeah, they better. I feel sad still that I suspect it will be due to cheating and shenanigans. I think there's a chance.
Getting switched to a ladder match because Dex can't get pinned is so
fucking
funny.
Christ.
It's very like, man, you know you still lose, right? Like,
I'm quite interested in what is going to happen in this fucking Pac FTR elite match on Collision.
I know.
Who's getting pinned there? I feel like it's going to be a Buck. I'm worried.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't
Probably, yeah.
trust.
Yeah,
I
Okada's. No, definitely.
It's not gonna be
Okada's
Okada.
not getting pinned, so it's going to be a
Right.
Buck because
and they're having the match
the
so
person
that
who-
Dax's dumb feelings.
Right.
Yeah, the
That's of
person
course
who
how I've
loses-
interpreted it. Yeah.
the person who loses on Collision is going to win the pay-per-view. So, yeah, it'll be a Buck.
It's DM 50-50 booking.
Classic 50-50
This
booking.
DM 50-50 booking.
The things we're just throwing out like 3 years ago, we would never have said that either.
No.
I think everyone should be very impressed with us.
We
and our
would have said something
narcissistic
crazy
takes.
like it's like when you're doing a theater performance and half the time the understudy goes on.
classic understudy booking.
It's like I channeled myself from 3 years ago so easily, almost as if I've truly learned nothing. Yeah, I'm mad about it. I don't want to see them fight, and I won't this weekend. I don't want to see a Buck get pinned. And I hope Dax Harwood goes up in that big cage in the sky or whatever I said recently. That
straight into a porta potty.
Fuck off. Straight into a porta potty. That's what I'm calling for. Okay. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Last week on Rampage, great, Allie, or Collision. Well, okay, on a show last week, Chris Jericho cornered Taz backstage and asked him to broker a conversation between Hook and Jericho so that Jericho could explain what happened in the match he caused Shibata to lose. It really was a bad sentence. Thank you, Past Alley, for pointing that out. This week, Taz, Jericho, and Hook had an in-ring segment, so Taz had brokered the deal. Jericho explained to Hook that he wasn't trying to make anybody lose. He just really wants Hook to listen to him. He really wants Hook to learn from him. And he was like, so we'll just keep doing mentoring. And Hook was like, no. So Jericho then, he trotted out this whole new host of catchphrases, which we know he has trademarked a whole new suite of them. And he was explaining that Hook really needed to come under the beautiful branches of his learning tree and take in his something about, I don't know, his like delicious knowledge or something. That sounds kind of randy. I don't think that's what he said.
My favorite one was, I want to take you to the top of Wizard Mountain so you can breathe the rarefied air of Chris Jericho.
Yes.
I love that he brought that. He brought the fire wizard thing back. So that's kind of continuity from gimmick to gimmick.
Yeah.
Because I actually did have a thought where I was like, now this version of Chris Jericho can never have been a wizard who was throwing balls of flame. That doesn't sound right to me.
Every time I remember that Jericho used to throw balls of flame because he was the wizard, it's just like, it feels like a fever dream. It's just like...
It was a fairly brief period, and I don't think there was much payoff.
I believe it just happened like twice, and just so he could yell, "I'm a wizard."
And it killed every time.
Every time.
I know. We have happy memories of it to this day. So, he's doing that whole thing. Taz attempted to shut it down. Jericho was like, "I'm just doing what you should have done 30 years ago." Hook is not 30, right?
No,
certainly not.
So. I think he's 17.
Yeah, eternally. And then Jericho shoved Taz, which Manolo put it this way. He said, Hook protected his papa by ordering Jericho to leave his ring. So Hook did get up in Jericho's face and said, get out of here. Don't hit my dad. And Hook and Jericho are going to fight at Dynasty. Now, it has been a rough year for Jericho, which we've discussed on the podcast before. And we almost talked about this last week, but we cut for time because we had to talk about our Regency Imagines instead. Do you think that Jericho is righting the ship?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that the crowd was reacting to him when Hook was shooing him out of the ring was like, that's what he wanted. Like, finally, he was getting the crowd reaction that he was trying to get, which for a while he has been getting a crowd reaction he did not expect. So I think it's pretty obvious that things are more intentional, which rules.
Yeah.
And he came with a much more confident energy, I felt like. And he was being very funny, which always really helps Jericho. And, like, he made Hook look cool. I mean, it was good for Hook, I feel like, the whole segment. So I felt like it was a really positive segment.
Hook looked good and powerful, but also Hook had an emotional stake in the conflict, which Hook almost never had. Mm-hmm. No, so that
pretty much never
was big for him. Also, our friend King of the North in our Discord, every time someone says something stupid or that he doesn't agree with, he posts the clip of Hook going, no.
Every time Hook talks, he sounds like such an idiot. It like really dispels like the vibe, which is so funny.
It was even funnier for that stupid hat to be so low on his head.
The hat was crazy. Did you notice when Hook was like kind of shoving Jericho up against the turnbuckle or whatever? No erotic Don't worry about it. Wasn't turned on.
That was a little like, I didn't think you were saying that. So then when you like went to deny it, it was a little bit like not erotic.
I know. I do sound like the lady who protesteth too much. The only reason I said it was because usually if I talk about someone shoving someone up against the turnbuckle, I am immediately going to be like hubba. So I wanted to make it clear to our listeners, not in this case. It's just strictly business when I talk about this, but Hook does move his tongue in his mouth so much that I was like, what are you doing in there? Are you tying a knot in a cherry stem or something? Why is it poking around every other second I look at your cheek?
No. I take it back. It was good that you said. It was good that you said this wasn't an erotic comment you were about to make, because like, that was disturbing to hear.
I promise you'd be able to hear it in my voice if I liked it, but I didn't. I wasn't mad at him, but I just thought, what is that? Who taught you to do that?
Hopefully he's watching back his clips and getting some feedback. This was one thing too where I thought it must be so funny to be at work doing like little skits with your dad. I mean, I guess he's like he came to his dad's work, whereas like Nick Wayne, his mom came with him to his work, which I feel like is a more embarrassing situation. But
absolutely.
But still, I did gasp when Jericho knocked Taz down. It was
oh my
me
god,
too.
Quite shocking.
Taz fell like Tony Schiavone, where it's just like he
didn't look good,
like flopped.
I was concerned. I was like, knee surgery is tough, Taz. Like, don't be careful.
I thought it was fun for Taz to get to be the damsel. I've never seen him as the damsel before. It was so fun. It was
great. And then he had to go back to the commentary table, and they were like, "Taz, you okay?" He's like,
He just sell it.
Yeah, love
I'm
it.
like, don't they do? Does Taz do Rampage?
No.
No.
Usually Daddy Magic and
yeah.
Toni.
Well, now recently,
Shivani.
but in the past, I'm just like, he and Jericho must sometimes be on commentary together. That can't be comfortable.
I'm sure they have. Because
remember when you shoved me in front of my son? What was I going to ask here? Oh, I did just want to, if anyone listening has like real knowledge about the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, I'd love to talk to you, because I for a long time, sometimes when Jericho brings out his like Painmaker gimmick or something, and everyone is really mad online, they're like, boo, Jericho, go away. And I'm like, well, I think he has to do that. I don't think he should be doing Painmaker for us, but I love thinking about like, I wonder how often he has to use it publicly in order to maintain the trademark, because I was not that clear when I went on the website last night to do some Googling, because I was thinking about it after he used all his trademarks, and a couple times he repeated, he was like, don't you want to come under the learning tree? And I was like, I'm like, I think he does have to show that he's using it, and he's using it multiple times to make sure that registers.
I like to think about someone at the patent office like having to watch Dynamite and be like, all right, he did say it.
I thought
trademark
I thought you were
approved.
going to say you like to think about someone in the patent office listening to this podcast and be like, finally, my moment.
I love that too, though. Yeah. If anyone
Meanwhile,
working
I
for the
thought you were
patent
just
office
talking
listens
about
to
like
this-
one patent office worker who gets all of Jericho's applications and is like, this guy. Yes.
I hope so. I hope there's someone dedicated to his file. I hope that's the kind of service they provide. Over
That's
there
how
at the
many.
patent
That's how many
office.
things he's patenting. He probably needs his
mean-
own whole guy.
I do think that every time he patents something, he gets like 5 health points. I think that's clear. He clearly felt a lot better after he trademarked these 3 things this week.
Yeah. The Jericho vortex.
I'm obsessed with the idea that Jericho was wasting away. And he has had periods before where we're like, he just seems like he's looking kind of like sallow and unwell.
right.
I
Little
love the
man.
idea that that's happening because he's not being permitted to file new trademarks.
He lives on trademarks.
Trademark vampire. Now that would be a
Yeah.
character in What We Do in the Shadows. That feels right.
Yeah, it's pretty specific.
Oh my God.
but-
Chris Jericho would be so funny on What We Do in the
Yeah.
Shadows.
He would
Yeah.
be really good.
Yeah.
I guess in a
Wow.
way he wouldn't be an energy vampire, but he's really like, he does feed off of attention vampire, something like that.
Well, that's the thing is that like
That's what people like to call him.
If he was doing a guest spot, he would be playing that version
Chris
of himself.
Jericho.
Yeah, he would be playing like
Yeah.
Full cameo.
Yeah, and he would just be like, "Oh yeah, no, I feed by like going up to like younger stars and taking pictures with them and pushing myself on stage with them. You know what I mean? Like he would make fun of that. Like
it's honestly like a real shame that no wrestlers are famous enough to like have crossover appeal anymore.
Yeah.
Because like if Chris Jericho was getting to play himself everywhere, like the way that Neil Patrick Harris did at one time, like yeah, I'd be enjoying that.
There's almost nothing that he wouldn't be bringing a certain special something to.
Yeah.
I think
it must be weird to be like a very famous wrestler for wrestling because like a Chris Jericho, because it's like people have either not heard of you or they've really heard of you.
Oh yeah.
I mean?
yeah.
No one's in between.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that he got to file some trademarks. He's feeling a little healthier in that sense. I thought it was very funny that he filed the Jericho Vortex. And it's interesting. So obviously some of the stuff that he's doing with this gimmick now that, you know, he's kind of gotten on course is he's doing the like, why won't you listen to your elders thing, which plays with like, honestly kind of a variety of locker room stuff that we've heard over the past couple of years, but especially Punk being like, no one takes my shitty advice. But Jericho is like, obviously the ship is still turning around. You know, we're not like full steam ahead. But Jericho is really good at doing the same thing that the Bucks are doing right now, where it's about Punk and it's about like other people who do this, but it also is clearly very self-aware. Like he's like, I know what people say about me, and I'm willing to like goof on myself for it. I'm willing to make that part of the gimmick, and I guess like I don't mind that because I know that people like to say that he like sucks everyone into his vortex and no one comes out of a Jericho feud better than they came in. But I'm like, I actually think he's been pretty good for a lot of people, and that there have been some people he wasn't good for who wouldn't do the work. But it's like if you look at people like I was thinking about this earlier. I was thinking about like Danny Garcia being in Jazz, and Danny Garcia obviously wanted to be in BCC. He wanted to be a fight boy with his idol Bryan Danielson, but he ended up in Jazz instead. And that storyline went really, really long. And there were moments in there where I think all of us were like, Danny Garcia should be doing more. And I don't know how you could have handled that differently or better. But thinking back to how like Danny Garcia was giving promos and presenting himself and stuff before Jericho, I'm like, he learned a lot from Chris Jericho. There were things that didn't come naturally to him in front of the camera that he learned from Chris Jericho. And he's not wrestling like Chris, like he didn't get turned into mini-me Chris Jericho. He picked up some stuff that was useful for him and that has taken his character to like the next level of being like, that's a guy that I have thoughts about, that like has a personality that I can say stuff about.
Yeah, he honestly feels like more like himself. Like he's being more of like a goof in there. You know, like he was just being like tough boy, mean face before that, but it's like a much more nuanced character for sure. Yeah. And Jericho's elevated like so many people. It's like he always kind of takes credit for Orange Cassidy, but it's like, I mean, he kind of, it was big for OC at the beginning to have that feud.
I know that like a lot of people are like his feuds go on too long, or like you know, they have criticisms as a watcher, which are obviously important. But
we've had them before.
Yeah,
too.
obviously.
I mean, it's like
we've said all that, but I think the wrestlers, with the exception of like probably like Ricky and Adam Cole, have all been better characters afterwards. You know what I mean? Like even if there were ways it was annoying as a viewer, I think Orange Cassidy, I think, you know, a lot of like MJF, I think all of them would do it again in a heartbeat. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
MJF
I think
got a lot out of that.
Yeah.
Out of their relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that Chris Jericho may have actually even put some guardrails on that later came off a little bit.
Yeah, I think if you're a theater boy at heart, Chris Jericho probably has some lessons to teach you that it would be good to keep paying attention.
Yeah.
And like I can picture
to sit under that learning tree, you know.
When MJF
the beautiful branches of the learning tree.
When MJF lost his mind and was just doing like the craziest shit during his reign, like can't you picture like Jericho backstage like sitting in a folding chair watching the screens and just being like, shouldn't be doing that. Shouldn't be doing that.
Like,
but it's
kids
like,
have
hey,
to make their own mistakes.
You gotta let the crowd grow up sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, Jericho is really good at listening to the crowd. He's just not going to listen to the one thing that right now a lot of people have decided to shout, which is stop wrestling. That's the one crowd thing that he's not going to listen to.
Yeah.
Until he feels ready. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm happy.
I know. I mean, I'm sorry. I just like Chris Jericho as a character. Like, I whatever. Like, whatever about the man, I don't really care about him. But the character is so fun, and he's so enjoyable. And I like when people are clearly having fun. And this feels like a Bucks thing where, like, he was drowning, and now he found a version that's clearly him having fun again. And I like to watch people have fun. Like, I mean, if Wardlow suddenly found a character that was clearly him having a blast, even though the character wasn't for me, I bet he could get me into liking it just because I like watching people have fun.
That's true.
Yeah. You pointed that out recently, and it really did strike me, where I was like, that is such a good thing to identify as something that will get us on board, is if we can tell that you are having the time of your life doing something, or that you think something is really funny, then like you've got a chance with us. It's not, we're not necessarily, I mean, I feel like they even got me, the Jeff Jarrett's of the world even got me at a certain point where I'm just like,
our hearts are never completely closed. So anyone can get in there if they find a certain energy. You can wiggle your way back into these hearts.
When Jay Lethal's group all was wearing overalls and they were on
that's the moment with the baby.
Obviously our hearts are not stone. We were like, this is everything.
Our hearts are the opposite of stone. Veronica Mars, you're a marshmallow at us. We got a big prickly exterior. We said never get on our screens again. But the only person who's never gotten a kind word from us is probably FTR. That's probably FTR.
But even if they started suddenly doing funny things and having a good time,
I think it's too late for them. I think they're the
it's hard to imagine because of their personalities and who they are. But like, I think it's not. I don't think we're the problem.
Of course, we're not the problem.
Maybe what I'd have to see, and no one can judge this but me and through my viewers' eyes. I would have to see them having a lot of fun, and I would have to see their opponents, people I really love, also having a lot of fun with them.
Yeah.
So maybe this week on Collision, like
collaborative fun.
FTR, if you're listening,
I know
try
you
having
are.
Fun.
Let's have some collaborative play.
Let's have some fun. This beat is sick. The end.
That makes you old.
Yeah, I know. When Kesha came out at Coachella, I watched that clip of her coming out with Renee Rapp, and I was just like, wow. And to the crowd, this is like old mother.
Kesha went to middle school with my sister-in-law. So
wow. So you're basically famous.
Yeah, basically. She said she was a good singer at the talent shows.
Sarah said something mean about Kesha in the car, and I like borderline
about old mother.
That's inappropriate.
I know.
Well, I have so many happy memories of Kesha in college.
We'll take the Kesha conversation offline as well.
Circle back on that. Put a pin in it.
We'll circle back.
Please said shut it down.
Can I say on the old guy who's giving advice that people are taking? Someone told us the tidbit that in Mox's book, when he got to WWE, Danielson told him not to ask any of the old guys for advice because then if they give it to you and you don't do what they said, they will be so mad at you. So don't ask. And I think
Jesus
that's
Christ.
so funny. It's like so cute of Danielson to be like, hey, FYI.
FYI. These turds are going to make your life a living hell.
It's bad over here, yeah.
Wrestling is such a fun environment. Everybody is saying so.
Seems really healthy and non-toxic.
Yeah. All right, let's check in on best friends. So Orange Cassidy fought Alex Reynolds on Rampage last week. We got to see some backstage footage of him on Being the Dark Order, just kind of slumped motionlessly backstage, not looking very happy at all. Very sad. He won his match, and Renee came out to interview him, but before she could, Greg came out and headed for the ring. Dustin appeared, I think this is what happened because I kind of watched the video. Dustin appeared in the ring behind OC. Get that classic wrestling situation of, is he going to hit him? But instead, and what this reminded me of when I was typing this up, I suddenly was like, it's like the Fox and the Hound.
Yeah.
He's not going to let the hunter shoot the fox. And Orange Cassidy is the little fox.
He's a little fox.
And Dustin is the
little red fox. Oh, no.
Anyway, he stood in front of the hunter's gun and he said, Greg, no. And so Greg turned around and left. But then, unfortunately, Dustin also turned around and left, which was really tragic.
It's so sad. OC was alone in the ring.
It's horrible. But he said, I will not align myself with the hunter or the hunted. In fact, I am the hunted because people keep trying to get an answer out of me. I'm going to go hang out with Sue. So then on Dynamite, OC fought Shane Taylor all by himself, and he did win, but then he was getting beaten up afterwards by the Shane Taylor promotion, which is Lee Moriarty, Shane Taylor, and Anthony Ogogo recently returned. So Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal ran out to help, but they were both unexpectedly, it was so shocking, walloped by Greg with a chair, because Greg was on the ramp, and he took them out, and then he turned as if to say, please keep killing him.
I think he literally gave a
horrified.
Matt Jackson nod.
Did he give a nod?
He gave a nod to be like, go ahead.
So sick.
So sick.
Please.
It's awful.
And then he left through the bad boy hole.
The fact
He
that
hurtled
OC,
through the bad boy hole.
he had no friends to save him, so Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal came out. It feels humiliating. It feels like a teacher.
Oh, it's so degrading.
Telling
I know.
people to stop
After-
making fun of you because you have no friends.
After
And
all of the
Absolutely.
men that OC has accepted into his tag
Yes.
harness.
He lets,
Oh my God, you're so right, because actually he has been kind
yeah.
to so many people. So many
lets
people have worn
anyone
his sunglasses, but you
Yeah.
can't come save his life.
Where
Right.
was Hook? Where was Shibata?
Yeah.
Where was, I mean, I know non-kayfabe, but in kayfabe, where was Danhausen? You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
where are these people?
They
Yeah.
they like
Where's
to be
Darby?
aligned with OC
Yeah.
when it's good for them.
Yeah.
When he needs them, they are
when they can
nowhere
get-
to be found.
get a little clout vampire, and meanwhile commentary saying, well, OC doesn't have any friends, but at least there's still a couple of people backstage with morals like Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal. It's like they're not even doing it out of affection for OC just because it's the right thing to do. That's nothing.
It's Christopher
Just because they're
Daniels'
locker
job.
room leaders, baby. I know. He could
Christopher
get in
Dan-
trouble if he doesn't come try to handle this.
He's literally talent relations.
Oh no,
is
OC's
why-
getting beat
why
up.
he
I
gets
gotta
paid.
go.
Oh my God. It was brutal. I really thought, I was like, I'm so angry at Greg, but I'm still just like, Greg, we got to sit down and we got to talk about what's going on in that beautiful empty head of yours.
He's mad at OC because Greg, lost a match. They were both in.
I do think sometime soon we've got to get a motivation.
we need a motivation.
Conversation. I'm not mad about not getting it yet. Like, I think that this
No.
is being paced in a very interesting way where I'm like
very
desperate
fun.
for
Yeah.
like the crumbs. But like, I am like, at a certain point though, Greg, you are going to have to level your accusations so they may be
Right.
heard before the judges.
Nail your 99 theses to the door, Greg, and let's read them through together.
I would love it if
99?
it's 95, but it
I
doesn't matter.
almost said 95. Damn it. I almost seemed smart.
I would love it if Greg had 95 theses of like Orange Cassidy, like sometimes doesn't talk to me in the mornings, like, is always getting all the attention.
Way too bossy.
Ate half of my burrito that I left in the fridge for a reason.
Yeah,
For a reason.
didn't tell Dustin to stop playing video games when we were trying to plan a match.
Told me my plain eggs are stinky.
Plain eggs.
I am so happy picturing him sitting down with Renee, and Renee is like, Trent, why would you do this? And Trent reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a pile of papers and says, number 1.
They should put up like a Festivus poll and just have an airing of grievances.
Oh, I would love to see that. So these are all free ideas, Greg. I know at some point he's going to have to say something. I'm not mad that he hasn't done it yet. I like the pacing. I'm really worried about Chuck Taylor. I mean, I continue to be high anxiety dog about Chuck Taylor. I said but someone at the end of the day, someone's going to take care of him. Right? At the end of the day, someone's going to have custody of him, right?
I know. He wasn't even there at Dynamite, which I didn't like at all.
But did you guys see in my notes? So Eric Beeson, the love of my life who divorced me, came back for one night only.
You gotta have
you guys were just happened to be at the same bar, and one thing led to another, and
I was
suddenly there's a little baby Rampage recap in here.
Wow, is that you doing the Rampage recap?
Hello.
Anyways, he said something so sexy that I was like, oh, Eric, please don't leave me alone with Doc Muller. But he said, Taylor, clad in black, approaching the white-shirted Beretta, while Cassidy stood between them, made for a cool visual. And I said, it sure did. Eric Beeson, made for a cool visual.
One cool visual.
I loved that quote because it was like, yeah, well, I have like severe terminal brainworm, so I agree. I thought it was a really cool visual, but I would say if I were anybody else, I would think it was a pretty normal visual. I'm not the guidepost here.
I think one thing you could say for us is we have terminal brainworms, but we can also take those glasses off and see reality for what it is. We don't like to. We don't do it often, but when called upon, we can't say, yeah, they were just standing there and it looked normal.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
We say in sickened tones. To others, it probably appeared very normal.
Probably they weren't doing intricate color theory, and yet.
But Eric Beeston was, so maybe it did look cool.
That's why he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he's your lover anyway. OC, it was announced today, I think, that OC and Shibata are going to fight. Is it Shane Taylor Promotions at Dynasty? I think that's right.
Yeah.
Pre-show.
Now he wants to help. Now he wants to help OC.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. I was just like, where were you when I needed you?
Yeah.
And he needed you.
Visa issues. Come on. Give me a break.
Absolute sicko stuff. Who do you think is going to win that match? Yes.
Is that a real question?
I don't know. As I said it, I was like, why am I asking? None of us care. I'm sure it's going to be OC and Shibata. If it's not, that's crazy. But
yeah. It'll be fun, though. I'm glad he got a match. I was bummed he wasn't on the pay-per-view.
Yeah. I love my little boy. I always will. I just really hope things get better for him at school.
I wonder if Greg's going to run out and do something horrible.
Greg is going to get expelled. Greg is about to get expelled. He's been cutting class nonstop.
It's crazy that he
fights in the hallways.
He thinks Dustin should go with him is an interesting thing. So it's like, have they been shit-talking OC behind his back this whole time? And then Greg was like, you're my best friend. Like, why aren't you coming with me? And Dustin was like, oh, I didn't really fully mean it.
Oh,
I feel like I haven't seen enough. I would like Greg to be even looking a little more like, what the fuck? Get over here, Dustin. Of course you should be by my side. I think he's been a little lackadaisical. Like, he's kind of like, Dustin, you're going to have to choose, but...
He did do that one, you're my best friend or what thing. But yeah, I would like to see more from him for sure.
I'd say, so that's, you can apply to any of your backstage theater kids, Greg, and just get a couple of tips on just hamming it up. Go talk to Okada. He won an award this week.
He did win an award this week. It would be so funny if, like, during his hypothetical backstage interview with Renee sit down that I'm imagining, at some point Renee's like, and do you think Chuck Taylor's going to stay with you? And Greg's like, he's not good with decisions. He's going to have to take his time. He's really working through some stuff, but I think in the end...
Poor Dustin is just at home, just like sending everyone texts like, I have an ulcer because of you.
He wasn't at TV this week because he was like, screw this.
Because his tummy hurt it too much.
His tummy hurt. And that's another reason why I guess he and Will Ospreay will end up teaming up, is because Will Ospreay is going to say to Dustin, like, I had the weirdest feeling before I came to work this week. It was like kind of like not good. And Dustin cuts in and says, tummy, every week. Every
Dustin's
single week.
Very familiar with bad feelings. Oh,
you've never felt bad in your tummy before? Well, get on board. You've got a lot to learn about life. ever felt bad in your tummy because you ate too many sweets before? Okay.
Can you believe that we got recommended on the Observer board?
No, it's crazy. Welcome all Observer subscribers.
Yeah, welcome to any new listeners.
If you thought we had Trish and Sarah's vibe, well, we've got the other half of the.
But you've heard a little bit of salient analysis in your time with us thus far, have you not, listener?
They've heard things.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our next topic. We're going to briefly check in on Cope and some of the girls. So Cope and Willow were scheduled to fight Julia Hart and Brody King on Dynamite this week, but as Cope was making his entrance, we got a backstage segment in which it was revealed that Willow had been attacked and was injured. So Stat and Stokely were there comforting her. Cope ended up having to fight on his own, which is kind of just how mixed tag matches normally work, as I believe my co-hosts pointed out in their notes. But he seemed kind of rattled by it, was getting barked around by Brody King. So eventually Willow did manage to come out, and she did some real intergender stuff. I mean, this did rock.
Yeah.
I can't name the moves. I don't know what they're called.
Well, she did crossbody, a diving crossbody.
Oh, Anne.
Yeah,
you're getting an award.
So good. Thank you so much. I've been doing great at podcasting today.
You're doing amazing.
Just gotta say.
You've won one beautiful, shiny point from my learning tree. A little nut from my learning tree.
I don't think you should say that. I think you should say it differently. I think you should give her a leaf.
That's so much better.
An apple.
I'm glad that I have you here. It will be a leaf from my learning.
But I love your
from
nuts.
my learning.
Oh, it's an olive tree. Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah. What are we talking about?
The cross-gender rocked because when
great.
Willow's music hit, I was so psyched because I was like, oh, right, like Cope and Willow, I was so psyched for this. And then she got beat up and I was devastated. But then she came out and did actual intergender moves while Cope had been, for some reason, so beat up by having to wrestle by himself when I've seen him wrestle singles many times.
Yeah.
What's going on today, buddy? You didn't eat your Wheaties?
It did rule that Willow was allowed to actually do moves on Brody, but also was like, well, he's legally not allowed to do it back, which does sour. Where I'm like, it'd be cool if he was able to do anything back.
It's mixed tag's so stupid.
I know. And then at the end, it also made me crazy when Julia was beating up Willow, and Cope was like, well, I can't do anything. She's a girl.
I can't hit a girl.
We have to wait for our CEO, which is a speaker.
I have to say, especially funny because of Cope's size versus Julia's size. Is it's like, well, you can pick her up by the scruff of her neck with just two of your fingers and have her dangling there like a little mouse, just saying, don't bite. Don't do that. That was really mean. I think you could do that. Who could get mad at you for that?
Yeah. Such a great point.
Yeah. And a good visual.
I wish that they were doing a little bit more jokes about that whenever they're doing mixed tags. Like the one where Heyman got Hurricane Rana'd by Penelope, and he started to stop it, and then he was like, ref, what do I do?
That was a great clip.
Or OC not being able to punch Britt or Matt Jackson.
It really? It haunts me. It was such a perfect moment. And I have to say, many won't like to hear it, but Matt Jackson was so beautiful during that match that I also thought, of course, you can't punch him. That's his moneymaker. It's his beautiful face. Okay. Oh, yeah. So Mercedes did come out at the end of this, and she had a chair, and I wasn't really quite, she came out kind of to run Julia off, but then it seemed like maybe she actually came out to beat Willow up herself. And then she kind of considered cheering Cope. And then she was like, I was never going to do anything vibes, and dropped the chair. I don't know that. I think there's some complicated dynamics in the Mercedes Willow thing right now when they're not feuding that I don't know if they're fully adding up, but I don't care that much. So I didn't mind it. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, it is fine. And honestly, I liked her. She did a backstage promo earlier in the show, and I honestly liked it a lot better because I just kept thinking about her as Alexis. So I'm just like...
That's just great. That's really blown the case wide open.
she says, where there's just a split second at the end where you just hear that, David.
Yeah, it works
And you're like,
incredibly
it's
well.
on the show.
Yeah. And I feel like people are being like overly critical of her too, because it's just like, let her find her feet in a 1-minute promo every once in a while, you know?
It's driving me
fine.
cuckoo bananas because it's like, okay, AEW has been like just stepping on its own rake for like a year, and you're telling me it's all Mercedes' fault now? It's like, she's
crazy.
not the problem here.
She's not the problem.
No.
No.
I think it's like, whatever. It's like she can't wrestle yet, and she's out there anyway doing something that, like, you know, she's getting used to a new environment. So whatever, keep experimenting, and we just don't have to weigh in yet. There's no need to weigh in yet.
Yeah, it's so powerful to actually not have a take on things that don't need a take. You know,
Silence
you
is
can just
free.
the thing in itself does not require an opinion from you. So Marcus Aurelius, I think.
Oh yeah, weren't we talking about that recently?
Yeah.
That is so powerful. Yeah. It's just like sometimes you can just say like, oh yeah, it's not my favorite thing I'm watching right now, but I'm not sure that's meaningful in any sense at this moment.
Yeah.
That's so many things.
There's so much in the show
fine.
that's just, you know, not for me, and I don't need to dwell on it.
And we should touch on our point that we've made many times before, which is it's not taking up much time.
It's not
If something
taking up
is
much
not
time.
taking up much time, let it go, baby.
Yeah.
Just
That
let
big
it
of a
go.
deal. You'll be
It's
okay.
It'll
really not.
work out or it won't. Unless it's taking 20 minutes in ring, we're
Yeah.
okay.
When it's 20 minutes in ring, then you can lose your shit. But
And
yeah,
you can lose your shit, yeah.
if it's under 2 minutes, let it go.
All right. Let us move on to what some of the other women are getting up to as we approach Dynasty. So last week on AEW, okay, well,
I love when you read back your own schedule and you're like, what did past me do in here?
I so often don't like what I find. So last week, the Stardom invasion began. So we had Mina Shirakawa running out to kiss and save Mariah May from Anna Jay, which we discussed very excitedly last week. Mariah was so grateful and in love, I think, that she came to Collision wearing Mina's shirt from that run-in, which I'm obsessed with immediately. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
this is that psychosexual-ish.
Is what we're doing, yeah.
This is what we're doing. Where did you spend the night? And she and Toni had a promo in which there was I don't know if it was Alex Marvez. Someone was there who kind of tried to bring up like, oh, your old friend came and you smooched on the mouth. And Mariah was clearly kind of being like, oh, not in front of Toni. Let's not get into that. Toni, however, does absolutely know what's going on because she did a little deranged screed. And then ever since, she has been cat in heat. I mean, there's no other way to say it. She says, I've got to nuzzle Mariah at all times to prove ownership to anyone else who might think they can come and kiss her. It's not even, I love that it's like not even, did she go in for a kiss and get rebuffed a little?
I would not describe what she tried to do as anything as simple as a kiss. She kind of like
that's absolutely correct.
She tried to rub her scent gland against Mariah's neck.
Yeah, Mariah was brought into her bosom, and there was kind of I think scent gland is right. Yeah,
she said I want my smell on her. Yeah,
that was the vibe that she was like treated Mariah as an accessory until it was clear that someone else wanted her.
Yeah,
and now that Mariah's in danger of turning her attention somewhere else, Toni's like, oh, unacceptable. I'll do anything to keep your attention. Do you need a lover? I can be a lover. Is that what you mean?
Can be a lover, yeah.
She's a bitch, she's a lover, she's a child, she's a mother, you know?
She is both sinner and saint, and may I say, she's not ashamed. Okay, what do I have here in terms of reportage? Oh, yeah. So Toni fought Azumi on Collision and won. This is another Stardom girl who we watched in...
Yeah.
Well, we might have watched both of them. I don't remember anyone's names, but...
I think just Azumi, but although I could be wrong. Yeah.
Well, we watched her in our bonus episode. Yeah. She was so good. She's so good at wrestling.
It was crazy.
Like, there was so many moments where I was like, oh, this is actually a problem. Nobody should be showing this to me because I'm not going to be able to go back.
I know. It's like, I'm feral for Stardom. Like, all I want to see are Stardom wrestlers, and I know I need to watch it, but I can't on board.
Serena Deeb matches after this. It's like, not when I know that it could be good.
Yeah.
No.
That's the funniest thing you could say, because I know there are people out there who are like, no, girl, Serena Deeb is one of our best.
Wrestler.
It's like, certainly not. No, you can't fool me. You cannot fool me.
No, the Stardom girls all have charisma. They radiate interest. They're electric.
Yes.
They walk onto the ramp and you're like, holy shit.
And they immediately come in and start doing a psychosexual storyline that's like nothing AEW has ever done before. Yeah. Like suddenly the women are telling like kind of a complicated and weird interpersonal thing. Like,
yeah.
Well, and I know that this is a foolish thing to say, but Azumi is so confident in her body movements.
Yeah.
In a way that makes me be like, I don't know. I've had this machine for 35 years. I actually don't know how to operate it. I think like it is like so she's been wrestling cool to watch.
Yeah.
And she's a baby is the thing. She's 21.
But she started wrestling when she was 11. So that's like a real like possessing your body kind of 10. It's crazy. Yeah, it's wild that she's 21. I would never have guessed that because she's so confident.
Yeah.
She fucking rocked.
But like Mick Wayne has been wrestling since he was an infant, and he doesn't have. I mean, he's a very good wrestler. I don't mean to insult him, but there's something about Azumi that's like, something about like her sense of where her like what she can do with her body is genuinely startling.
I fucking loved it, and I loved that the crowd also seemed quite electrified by it.
Yeah.
I also really liked. I know that something people have talked about, like. There's a lot of debate back and forth about, like, well, how can some of our wrestlers get better? They should go on excursion. Don't just tell people to go on excursion, like this back and forth kind of thing. I do now understand why people have sympathy. Suggested it. I completely get it. And I loved seeing Anna Jay with Azumi because I really was like, yes, I can see you are like she's already done a lot. She was under the Jericho learning tree, which I actually think was really good for her. Like she's come a long way, but I was like, oh, I love having you in the mix here. This is so good for you.
Yeah.
I know. When I would hear people say that, like I was sympathetic to the like counter response, which is like you can't like just treat another promotion like developmental and like moving to Japan for a period of time is way bigger of a deal than just what you think it is. But now having met the Stardom girls, I'm like, if you can manage to go to boarding school, you should.
Right. If you think you have the temperament for boarding school and boarding school is happy to have you, then I think it could be really cool for you to go to boarding school.
Yeah, they're
I
clearly
think it could be amazing.
Doing some stuff right over there, boy.
No kidding.
Love it. Okay. So Toni fought Deanna. Is that what happened? No, Mariah fought Deanna. Mariah fought Deanna, and then Thunder Rosa came out afterwards to get into it with Toni, and she smeared like lipstick all over her face. And Thunder Rosa did also cut a promo on Collision that I can't remember any of the contents of, unfortunately. But she and Toni, of course, are going to fight for the Women's World title at Dynasty. So what do you think about any of that? And or just who do you think is going to win?
We were talking in our Discord this week about Thunder Rosa, and I was saying that like I have a hard time with her because she just feels like she's not interested in the rest of the women's division, that like she's just like she seems so separate, and like, you know, even when she tags with somebody, it doesn't seem like as collaborative as it could. But then like it was as if she heard me say that, because I did think the way she, like, the deranged way that she was rubbing the lipstick all over Toni's face and then cackling wildly at her own daring was fun. It was the most I've liked her. It was the most I felt like she was loose and, you know, doing something, you know, that I was like, well, it's something. It's definitely not everything, but it's something.
Yeah. I've been feeling bad because, like, I'm trying to keep my heart open to Thunder Rosa, but I just don't feel excited to see her for who knows what reason. And, like, the promo on Collision, I, like, think she delivered it pretty well, but I found it so boring. Like, I was watching it, and I was just like, I'm going to skip the rest of this. But the lipstick rugging was really fun. So it was nice to see her, you know, doing something. So hopefully she'll head in that direction. I don't know. It's hard to see where she's fitting into all this, I think.
I did have a real pedantic quibble with the promo where I really wanted her to cut the last 3 lines. And it was so obvious to me that it should have ended with like, you can't kill what's already dead or whatever. Yeah. And sometimes I really itch to get back there and I just go around with my little red pen and I say, cut, edit. Shorter, better. So that's really was my only takeaway there. I would be shocked if she won the match. I don't want her to win the match because I don't feel confident that she will deliver us an interesting program afterwards, whereas Toni is delivering everything I've ever wanted. Toni is my dream girl. And I had a thought today that I was thinking about, I don't know what I was thinking, probably nothing interesting, but suddenly I was just like, Toni is so... I couldn't imagine her all of a sudden going out and giving a big, like a long, 8-minute promo or something to the crowd. And I was like, have I ever seen her do that? I don't know. Maybe she'd be really good at it. But I was like, it's so smart how many ways she's found to talk to the crowd without doing the big live promo. And I barely even noticed that it wasn't happening. Like, she just really clearly to me has been like, I'm trying to lean into my strengths right now and doing such a great job.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good for her. All right, let's move into our final topic of the night. We are just going to briefly check in on the title scene, the men's title scene, as we approach Dynasty. So Swerve and Joe, of course, have their match scheduled for Sunday. They both got backstage sit-down interviews with Renee on Dynamite. Joe went first, and he cut this promo where he said Swerve isn't a real opponent. He's a nuisance, and he always chokes when there's something important on the line. Swerve in his promo countered by saying that he's actually not a choke artist. He's always fallen forward into success. And he said, I'm still here. I always get back up. So he said that he would tell that to Samoa Joe in person later in the show. And they did close out the show with Swerve coming out to do an in-ring segment that Samoa Joe interrupted. We got some fighting. We got some high flying. And then the show ended with Joe raising the belt over Swerve's prone body in the ring. And as I wrote that, I was listening to the Backstreet Boys, As Long As You Love Me, and that will be our first discussion point because I did include it in the schedule. Amazing stuff. You can't get this anywhere else.
So true.
What did you guys think about the promos?
They were fine. I mean, I feel like at this point, like at this stage, they weren't going to be doing anything differently, so it was fine. I thought it was
yeah. It's just sort of, it is just like, it is what it is at this point. I don't think I have anything too new to say. It's just like, I don't want them to kiss. Joe's reign doesn't feel that important. Like, I do feel like Swerve's going to win. Like, I just wish it was giving me something a little more compelling. But, I mean, I think they, like, competently did what they did. Like, Joe delivered a competent, generic wrestling promo, so.
In terms of physical violence and, as they say, heat, they certainly want to beat each other up, and that came through loud and clear. I thought that Swerve looked really cool. I thought he sounded really good. But it's right that, like, we're at the point where we're just like, oh, the program isn't for us. I think I think there were people who kind of weren't on board with it, and the segments that they'd done over the past few weeks with, like, the actual violence stuff. I think that got a lot of people on board.
Yeah.
Which is good for them. It was never going to be the thing that got us on board.
Yeah.
I
think a lot of people really liked the contract signing and thought that it did a lot. And so, the thing is that, like, I'm like, it's going to be a good match. It's going to, like, Swerve is breathtaking to watch. And Samoa Joe is fine.
Samoa Joe is going to be there.
Yeah.
He's going to be there. He's for sure.
He's going to be a
contractual.
He's going to be a good vertical base.
Right. Wow. Look at us.
Oh, wow.
You and me. Look at us. Can you believe it?
Who'd have thunk it? Huh?
Someone's going to write it and be like, that's not how you use it.
Well, little teeny baby steps.
I mean, it's not for us. And I think
that is a good phrase.
Don't you think that is so beautiful of us to be able to say? Sorry to interrupt, but isn't that so powerful of us to be able to say it's not for us?
Yeah.
Wow. It's not to our taste, as my parents taught my brother to say at a young age. when he didn't like food. They said you can't say you have to say it's not to my taste.
But it's not named it as. Swerve Hangman was for the girls. Swerve Samoa Joe.
It's for the boys.
For the men.
For the boys. And I hope they enjoy it, you know. Good for them. They have so much already, but I hope they like this.
It's like a little note creeps into that. Well, I wouldn't say they needed this. But sure. Why not?
Take this as well. Fine, it's my pleasure to let you have it.
If Swerve's first feud as champ is like a boring violence boy, that's I think when I'll start getting a little bit irritated. But I don't think he will.
Yeah.
I think he'll right the ship once he's
I think Swerve's reign is going to be good. Like, I am excited for it, and I love him, and I think with a different person to play off of, I think we'll have a good time.
I'm very
and his eyeshadow was great. I mean, he's doing
makeup
for girls, so I love that.
That's true. He's still giving us a little something. That's nice. I do think I'm very interested in what ideas he has for a reign. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see him fight with someone different. And can I just briefly get into this rhetorical situation?
Mm-hmm. Please.
I just really want to talk about this. So Samoa Joe gave his little promo where he said, good job, Allie. You included it here. You put it right here. He said, how do I view Swerve as an opponent? Right now, he's a nuisance. He's just somebody who keeps standing up no matter how many times I knock him down, like he's a punching bag. Such an interesting little line. And then so Swerve gave a response, which is perfectly fine. And he did say, like, I'm still here. I always get back up. But I went insane after hearing it and just couldn't stop thinking for the rest of my life about how I think that maybe like wrestlers sometimes need to look to rhetoric. You need to look to political rhetoric, like a little rhetoric book. I don't know a good one, but because immediately I was like, you have to give, I want the return promo where you lay out the case for like, you say, I'm just a punching bag who always gets back up, like it's a bad thing. Baby, that's life.
Yeah.
That is life. Life belongs to the people who get back up.
Yeah.
And that's legitimately a strength of Swerve's. Like, how much did he job in the last 2 years, you know? And he just kept giving everything to feuds and getting up, and that's why he's about to be world champion, you know?
Right.
I just wanted that building cadence of someone giving this is a really simple version, but of him giving the examples of like, such and such happened, I got back up. Such and such happened, I got back up. You say it like it's a bad thing, but no matter what happens to me, I'll always get back up. Like, that's my superpower, baby.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, take it. I want you to take it, and I want you to give like the speech that's going to make people feel insane.
Yeah. Right.
No, it's true. I mean, I think that wrestlers don't naturally tend towards but Brutus said he was, what's the line? Ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. They just don't tend towards that style of promo, and they should, you know?
Yeah.
Because imagine if Swerve
Eddie Kingston, who loves Shakespeare, like, he gives a good promo, too. Yeah.
But it would, like, as Allie said, it would have been a really powerful thing, is he's like, Joe says, I keep getting up. When this happened, and this happened, I got back up. Like, and he just repeats the, phrase over and over until, like, the crowd is like roaring it with him, you know?
Yeah, I want the philosophical crescendo of like, I am making the argument that the most powerful man in the world is the man who gets back up.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I feel so inspired right now. I want Swerve to win so bad. Thanks for that promo, Allie. You really talked me into it.
They gotta get us backstage.
It's so fun. I do think that doing like rhetorical or like that kind of writing is so fun and interesting. It's funny that I actually think, I know Cody has such politician energy, but he actually doesn't get very good.
No.
He's not very good at writing speeches, which is a different job, I guess.
Yeah.
It is funny though. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to like a political rally, but like even in high school, we had to go to one for some reason, but it was like Bob Dole, who's like not a charismatic politician, and I didn't particularly care about him or agree with him, but it was like giving the speech, I was so like, like it's crazy how that style of rhetoric can really get you against your will.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we think that Swerve is going to win, though.
Oh, yeah.
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 He better.
I'm excited to see what happens next. I love Swerve. I think that he loves doing character work. This feud just hasn't. I mean, and I'll continue to blame it on Samoa Joe, who gave me nothing in his promo. It gave me not one single thing.
Nothing.
Oh, except this line that I've been riffing on for a while, but.
I'm going to ask a question, and with the caveat that I certainly do not have an answer to it. Do you think it is a letdown of the entire Swerve Hangman feud if Hangman doesn't show up to try to stop Swerve from getting it? Because Hangman was like, I'd die before I let you get it. Do you think
I've heard people say that, but I don't feel that way. But I don't know if I have like an argument. But it's I just think like Hangman's gone, you know?
I know. I'm like, I kind of have to see it. You know, I kind of have to see the match, I guess. Like, I don't think it's an automatic problem if Hangman doesn't show up, but I can see if the whole match is bloodless and he doesn't show up, then it'll stick out more. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
have an answer.
I guess I do think that if he's not going to show up and you aren't going to pay that off like at a pivotal stage, then I do think it would have been better that they should have tried to do something that managed to kind of like the kind of like I'll be back moment. They should have tried to do something where it's like Hangman accepts loss in this feud and is like, in the future, in the moment you least expect it, like, I will be the man who ruins your life. Like something like that. Some kind of Count of Monte Cristo shit. And I think that would have been possible. I'm kind of talking off the top of my head because I don't know exactly what you would have done, but I think they could have done that, and I would have preferred that they would do that and make a kind of a clear break with the future looming than just not pay it off, and then I don't know what happens with it.
Yeah. I think it'll depend on like how Hangman comes back, like how I feel about it, like whenever he does, because I feel like it's the kind of thing where it's like if they did something cool when he comes back that like explains it or whatever, like I think I'd be totally on board, you know.
I love how often we come back to, well, if it's cool, we'll like it, and if it's not cool, we won't like it.
I wish more people would get into that, though. It's like there's nothing. I don't know. I think about it all the time when it's like, it's the same rules as all art, where it's like rules are there, especially for when you're a beginner and you're learning, and there's certain things that are much easier to make work than others. But if you are an advanced artisan, you don't have to follow the rules. You can do something that we've said a million times, like that sucks ass when people do it, and you can make it good. Yeah. You have to make it good, though. And some people can and some people can't.
Mm-hmm. And I think some of the frustrating stuff about like the IWC discourse is that people fantasy book it in their head, they get very committed to it, and then they compare what actually happens to like what they hoped would happen, which like the thing that actually happens might be perfectly fine or even good or better, but often people can't sort of accept that reality didn't match their fantasies. Because like even like my ideal situation was really like Hangman won the belt at the, you know, in the trios match, and then Swerve chases him for a while. I think that would have been really good, but Hangman's out for personal reasons, so it can't happen. And now we've missed the window for that. But I keep seeing people kind of going back to that scenario, like, oh, we should do that now, though. And it's like, but we've passed the window. Like, I don't think we can get back to it, and we just have to work with what we have, you know?
Right. You have to pivot. It's not going to hit the same way that it did then now. It's kind of adjacent to the, well, it's not really, I don't know. It's kind of adjacent to all the Game of Thrones stuff. I mean, this is just when there was a lot of discourse about it, but it's like everything on TV now where people are really invested in like figuring out what's going to happen. And then they're basically locked in battle with showrunners who don't want them to figure it out. And so they're like changing so things don't make sense, or they stick to it and then people are mad because they wanted to be surprised. I don't know, just like the complicated relationship where it's like the thing that ultimately matters, and I wish everyone would get on board with that, is it's like you need to have a vision and see your vision through. Now, does that make sense, Allie?
Yeah.
Because I said they should pivot too.
Well, but that's
part of it. Is like knowing what you think it should feel like, or if it's good, it's good.
If it's good, then you should stick with it and have confidence. And even if people guess it, trust in the fact that it's good and it'll be worth it anyways.
Yeah.
If it's not good, make it good.
Yeah. And don't do it if it's not good.
Right. And with wrestling, you have to pivot like more than you do in a show, like running Game of Thrones, because like the actor playing Cersei is probably not tearing her ACL, you know, like, and then you have to like change your whole show.
And even if she is, she probably still ends up playing Cersei. I mean, they just don't show her ankles or
she just sits there. Yeah. It's fine.
ACL.
So, you know, you're putting on a show with visa issues and injuries and wrestlers that don't want to do what you want them to do, and you have to talk them into it or give them a ladder match so that they'll do it, you know, or whatever. Yeah. So it's like, you know, it's complicated being a booker. That's what I've taken away from the last 3 years.
We're glad that we're not. But I think, I think it's like you need, if you're the wrestler or the booker or whatever, you need to have confidence in your own vision at every stage. And like, I don't know. Of course, there have been times when the IWC was calling for like Toni to stop doing stuff, and he probably should have stopped doing it. But
when it's bad, it's bad, and you should stop.
When it's bad, it's bad. When it's good, it's good. We've always said that. We always will. Nothing else really has to add up. As long as you just keep in mind, if you're good, you're good. If you're bad, you're bad. If you're good at being good, you'll be good at being good. If you're good at being bad, you'll be bad.
Yeah, simply do good art. I don't know if you guys have ever thought of this, but don't do bad art and do good art.
I think many
you'll be in
many are not thinking that.
Many have never thought about it.
Many are not thinking it. They need to start thinking it.
I think that's quite enough from us this week. Was there anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to in our luxuriously long episode?
Let me say this.
Say it.
I think that the Bucks FTR match is whatever. And they can wear their weird little genie / bellhop outfits to the FTR match.
Okada owns the hotel and their bellhops also.
Yeah. Yes.
Carry on.
That's right.
It's just your bellhops.
However.
It's Okada and his 2 bellhops. He's the hotel owner.
Okada and his 2 bellhops, yeah.
This is Faulty Towers.
When those men are holding the titles, the shirts come off. We're not doing another pay-per-view cycle in which they are wearing shirts.
Leah, thank you so much for stopping us and making sure that we do get that on record. Yes, we're going to need to see skin. We need skin to skin. We're not doing well. We're like your little baby's failure to thrive. We need skin to skin with our mommies, the Young Bucks.
And we just talked about how the world title match is not for us. So I just think it'd be kind to do something that is for us.
And I'm being generous. I'm letting them have one more pay-per-view with these outfits. I'm just saying.
That's so sweet of you.
We're done.
That's so generous and kind.
After Dynasty.
We're done with tit covering. Let's take it off.
I've had enough of tit covering. What did you say about Roddy? I'm done with Roddy. I'm done with tit covering.
It's funny how I'm done with Roddy has such like a tone in my head, even though you typed it. Like you didn't say it to us. But.
It was so, and I say it's a compliment. It was so cruel. The tone.
No, it was because then it was like, why did I say that? I don't talk like that.
You did immediately start going, I'm a nice person, I promise. I'm done with Roddy. Oh my God. All right. Okay, well, this is Tunnel Talk. You've been under our learning tree. I'm Allie.
Have one of our olives. Stay a while.
Shove an olive in your little mouth straight off our tree.
Ladies, say your damn names.
Did you say yours?
Yeah, I said I'm Allie. Enough of this cornholing.
Should I say I've been Ann or I am Ann?
Oh, I didn't say it right. So you come at me now on the day of my daughter's wedding because I didn't say it right.
We have to do our ritual. We have to say, go in peace to love and serve the Lord so that I feel secure in my life.
Okay. You can't just change it up.
Let's say this. Thanks for sitting under our learning tree. This has been Tunnel Talk, and I've been Allie.
I've been Ann.
And I've been Leah. Allie, we're all waiting under the learning tree.
Shh, my child. Shh. A little leaf floats down onto your head. Our theme is by Chris Corkin. You can find us on Twitter and Tumblr at Tunnel Talk Pod and via email at tunneltalkpod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find this podcast on the Social Suplex Network feed, along with many other great podcasts that bring me joy and make me cackle every single week. You can also find us on the Social Suplex Network Discord, where we have lively, fun, and intelligent discussions about the world of wrestling every single week. Stay frosty, and please come back next week.